Welcome to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. Now, for your early morning look at financial news and activity in audio and video form, here's the Morning Market Mimosa.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Investing Podcast. It is Tuesday, July 26, 2016. This is your Morning Market Mimosa. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Futures down just a little bit this morning. Nothing to be alarmed with yet, but earnings are going to drive these markets, especially through this week, we think. And so a number of companies reported negatively. We'll talk about that a little bit in just a few minutes. But for now, what you need to know: Dow futures down 9 basis points. S&P futures down just 1 basis point, which is 1/100th of 1%. So not a big deal there. NASDAQ futures down 17 basis points. Gold is down just a tiny bit. Oil down 1.2% into that $42 range. So oil is having a time, folks. Not a good time either. So continue to watch oil. Again, we saw it at 50 about 2 months ago, all the way down to 42.50 or so right now as we monitor that. A couple companies that we will draw your attention to: Verizon, actually one of the companies in our Pokefolio, the portfolio that's going to capitalize on Pokemon Go. We're going to update you at lunchtime on that, but Verizon was a little bit disappointing in their earnings release. Shares are down a little bit more than 1%. McDonald's, everybody thought that the strong push of breakfast all day, which has had an impact on stores, would continue to drive this company. But same-store sales growth actually declined a little bit. So McDonald's down about 3.5% so far in pre-market trading. So not a great jump start for McDonald's. You also had a number of analysts come out and downgrade a slew of restaurant groups, everything from McDonald's to the Darden Group that does Red Lobster and all those places, I think. So lots of restaurants are kind of catching some flack this morning. So something to keep an eye on thematically. We're going to be back at lunchtime. We're going to be back at the end of the day. But we did promise that we would pick on the Democrats this week because we picked on the Republicans last week. Just a couple notes that I thought were interesting watching some of the Democratic convention last night. First of all, it was interesting. Elizabeth Warren has to be a Nazi. I don't know if you guys saw last week, but Laura Ingraham, a conservative pundit, waved and she started like this, which if you freeze frame that and, oh, I must be a Nazi because there's no way I'm waving and that my hand could be frozen for just a minute like that. Got to be a Nazi. That must be what it is. Elizabeth Warren opened exactly that way yesterday. No one seemed to notice it. If you remember last week, Laura Ingraham really exploded on Twitter when for just a minute her arm was extended like this. But when Elizabeth Warren did it, nobody really seemed to care. I happened to tweet it out from my personal account. A few people noticed. Not a big deal. But it's just interesting that, again, people just kind of ignore that. Check yourself next time you wave. People, unfortunately, we're now in the state of policing from social media that we need to go ahead and start flapping our hand before it's raised. I don't think we can do this anymore. I think we need to start just doing this. Then you can wave. Might be accused of making fun of people with Parkinson's, but at the end of the day, which would you rather be accused of, being a Nazi or having Parkinson's? You know, I think we all know the answer there. Also interesting, Michelle Obama gave a great speech. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It was interesting. She said, don't let anybody tell you that this country's not already great. That's a big turnaround. If you remember, the first time she was ever proud of this country as an adult, and she said this in March of 2008, was when Obama started to really take off during the Democratic primary season. So, you know, in just a little more than 8 years, she has gone from never being proud of this country to saying, don't let anyone tell you this country's not great. So shout out to Barack Obama. I mean, he did all of that. So kudos to him for convincing his wife, turning around her narrative in terms of how the country is viewed. That's a big deal. Pretty powerful man if he can change his wife's mind on something as important as the entire nation. Y'all have a great morning. We will be back for the Stock Market Power Lunch and the Investing Happy Hour a little bit later. Talk to you soon.
Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinions, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinions will sometimes be flat out wrong due to a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available at the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon written request.